What's up my loves, my name is Paige, this is Patience with Paige, and today we're going to be doing my Not Safe for Workathon recommendations round 2. Last week we had the first lot of recommendations, so this week we're doing our second lot, and so these are going to be fulfilling a few more prompts, giving you 2 recommendations for the prompt that I have read and then one that I have not. So I'll leave a link above for the video of last week if you missed that or needing some inspiration, go check it out. But let's dive into the prompts for this week. So the first prompt is Rope, a book that you've been meaning to read but you've been tied up with. So this is a little bit more open for interpretation, but I just want to give some examples of how I would be looking at it. My recommendation that I have read is Royal Assassin by Robin Hobb. This is the second in the realm of the Elderling series. The reason I would feel it for this prompt was I read Assassin's Apprentice and I got tied up in my own expectations of what it was going to be and that I wasn't going to enjoy it. So I put it off and off and off and off. And then 3 years later I read it and absolutely adored it. So if you've been putting one off because you just feel like you've got expectations for it, you're tied up in your head about it. So that's how I'd make this prompt work for that. The next is The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. So I saw a lot of hype going around, especially with The Mask Falling, which is the 4th one in the series, having come out recently, especially from A Frolic Through Fiction. This is one of her favorite series. So I knew that I liked it. It was on my rainbow shelf and I wanted to get to it, but I just kept getting tied up in other things and I wouldn't think about it when I was doing my Twister TBRs, so that really forced my hand in not being able to read it. When I remembered, I actually got to read it and I really enjoyed it. That's another way that you can make this prompt work. A recommendation that I haven't read yet is House of Earth and Blood, the first in the Crescent City series by Gimp Mask. So for me, I was tied up with the rest of her other series, so I wanted to read the Akatar series before diving into this, and I was kindly gifted it and I still have put it off because I hadn't finished that series. I'm trying not to start Throne of Glass, so then I will dive into this instead and then I can go back to Throne of Glass and continue on, having started this. But at the moment I'm just tied up all over the place, not knowing where I'm going with this. So that is why I've been tied up. Next is Electric Play. So any book that features elements in some capacity. So I'm going to list a few different suggestions. The first is The Magic in the Weaving by Tamora Pierce. This is the first in the Circle of Magic series by her, which is not set in her Tortell universe, which is her most commonly known one. This is following 4 protagonists and they all have elemental magic of some description. We've got a weaver and this is her book, so it's following her as she's discovering her powers to be able to weave and manipulate magic in that way. We've got Jaja, who works with fire, and we've got Briar, who works with plant magic, and then we have Triss, who works with electricity and storms. I really think this is a great series, especially for this prompt. They're short and sweet, and the fact that one of the protagonists actually has electrical abilities just cements this one home. Another one that I have read is The Final Empire, Mistborn Book 1 by Brandon Sanderson. So again, using the elemental magic system that Brandon has created counts. Using any of those metals and things like that, it counts as elements. You can make it as broad or as singular as you want. If you only want to do one that has elements of electricity, go for it, that is fine. If you want something a little bit more broad, a little bit more flexible, your metals counts as elements, it's fine. And the recommendation that I haven't read is Heart of Gold by Michael Pryor. So this is the second in the Laws of Magic series, so technically you could count the first one. I wanted to use this as a second one because it is Heart of Gold. Gold is an element going off the periodic table. Our protagonist Aubrey, he uses alchemy to keep himself alive, so there's a lot of talking about different elements and how you combine things in different ways to make it all work smoothly and in your favor. It is very science-based and there was elements of storms and things like that, so this is my recommendation that I haven't read. Next is Food Play, so with food on the cover or set at a restaurant or a cafe. I've got some pretty obvious ones. There is a Goodreads list at the moment for the Pop Sugar Reading Challenge, so feel free to have a look at that as well. But my recommendations that I have read are Tweet Cute by Emma Lord. This is set as opposing food chain and deli restaurants. There's a lot going on. There's like 3 levels in which the characters know each other, but they don't actually know that they know each other, and it's just hilarious. Very quick fun read. I literally listened to this in one sitting whilst doing a jigsaw puzzle, and it's nice, light palate cleanser, fluffy, and just a fun YA rom-com. Would definitely recommend this as somewhere set at a cafe restaurant. It is set in our homes and at school and online as well. If it just features it even a little bit, I'd count it. And the other is With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. I don't think I've stopped talking about this book since I read it. So food on the cover and set out at a restaurant. There's a lot of different settings, not just the restaurant at school, but I think it's really valuable and such an important read, and definitely fits all the bells and whistles for this one. So the next one that I haven't read is Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi, and this is set at a cafe. And the way that this works is there's time travel elements, and you can travel to particular points in time, but you will be at the cafe and you have to be back at the seat in the time that you were originally going before your coffee gets cold. So it's such an interesting premise. I know that it's pretty short, and I'm really excited to get to this. So just one of those random ones that I know about and I'm really interested in. I just keep forgetting to actually go and get it and consume it. The next is Iceplay, which is chilling subject matter. So my first recommendation that I've read is The Butterfly Garden by Dot Hutchinson. Holy shit, like the premise of this is that girls are being kidnapped, and the protagonist is telling her experiences of being in the butterfly garden where this guy would tattoo butterfly wings on their backs. And more than that, definitely look up some trigger warnings if needed, but holy shit, this was so thrilling, it was so engaging, it was fantastic. I really enjoyed it and would highly recommend it. The other is Red Dragon by Thomas Harris. So again, any Hannibal book would count. Psychopathic serial killers, that chills me to the core. If you want to do like a thriller where they're stuck on a mountain or in a snowstorm or something like that to make it even more chilling, feel free to go for it. I don't have any books that I can think of that I actually have read that in. That's just a suggestion if you want to make it even more chilling. It's -2 where I am, so I'm not gonna do that. Third book, which is my recommendation that I haven't read, is The Flower Girls by Alice Clark Platt. The arc here says 3 children went out to play, only 2 came back. It is on Hazel Archer's 25th birthday that the second girl goes missing. For me, that's pretty chilling, just knowing children going missing like that would break my soul into 1,000 pieces. So I think this could be a really interesting read. This would also double up for last week's prompt of Gimp Mask, read a book with a black cover. The last prompt for this week is Breathplay, a book that will leave you breathless or panting. So I've gone the 2 ways. So I'm going with A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. This book had me absolutely panting. It was amazing. You need to read the first one, and that's not as panting, but you could do it for maybe Rope, a book that you've been tied up with. You can make it fit, I promise you. A Court of Mist and Fury is one that left me absolutely panting, and it was glorious. And then my other recommendation is The Female of the Species by Mindy McGuinness. This left me breathless. The ending shook me to my fucking core, and it was glorious. I would double this up with Iceplay, Impact, Edgeplay, because it's told from multiple perspectives. Definitely got a few double ups here. This is one of my favorite books of all time. It's cemented Mindy McGuinness as one of my favorite authors. I adored this, and it fucking broke me and left me absolutely breathless. I gasped at the end because I just was not anticipating this ending. The recommendation that I have that I haven't read would be The Beast by Katie Robert. Obviously, Katie Robert, she beautiful, yes, Disney series, Wicked Villains, and it's smutty as all hell, so I know I'm going to be panting throughout this. I do think it is The Beast, Gaston, and Belle. Think it's another trio. I could be wrong though. It might just be Gaston and The Beast. I'm not sure. I'm excited. So I have a feeling that that will leave me panting. Similar to last week, there are a few non-recommendation prompts that continue on our bingo board. So blindfold, that is to go into a book blind or pick a book whilst blindfolded. Again, I really can't give you any suggestions on that front. It's just one that you've got to do for yourself. Free space.
Yeah, vanilla bitch.
Free space. Do whatever the fuck you want. Count a book, don't count a book. It's no biggie. It's a free space. Foot fetish, a book from the bottom of your TBR pile. So I can't tell you what's on the bottom of your TBR pile. I know what's on mine, and it depresses the fuck out of me. But yeah, I hope that your bottom is still good because mine is not. and Bite Mark, a book that you're dying to sink into. So I don't really have anything from that either. Whatever you feel like sinking your teeth into. I would probably double it up with Buttplug, a book over 500 pages, just so then you know you're really getting a meaty chunk. I want to thank my co-hosts for this round, which is KJ, Cara, Whit and Caitlyn. I'll leave all the links to their channels in the description below, as well as links to the additional Not Safe for Workathon information. This readathon would not be possible without these gorgeous, wonderful people, and I love them to bits. Let me know in the comments your rope. What's a book that you've been tied up and been dying to get to but just haven't quite got there yet? And the code word for today is why. Why, man? Why? So W-H-Y, not the letter Y. If you like this video, feel free to give it a big thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more of this mess, I'm making videos every day for the month of August. So feel free to subscribe and you'll get to see all of those. And I'll hopefully see you in my next video, which will be tomorrow. Bye!